I'm recording, just so you guys know. Also, I see a few new. And we'll welcome the others as they come. Um, Normally, I like to have the those of you that are new introduce yourselves. If you like, you can do it. You can speak or you can type it in the chat, that chat bubble in the upper right-hand corner if you want. Either way, or if you don't want to, that's fine too. But we'd like to hear from you just to if you can introduce yourself and tell us how you found us, what your interest in coding or this event is, and what your current level of experience is. Margin. All right. So Slinky's typing. Zizo and Eshwar. Uh, just wanted to tell you guys if you guys would like to introduce yourselves, tell us how you found the event, um, why you're here, what you're interested in, like at the event, as far as the event, and what your current level of experience is in coding. That would be cool. You guys can like type into the chat or you can speak. It's up to you. So Slinky is Andy. I have a CS Associate's degree looking to do a boot camp. All right. So I got some information on boot camps for you, Andy. But that's up to you. I can help you along that too. I can help you pick one. Um, Laura Gaynor. Okay, so we got two people typing. I believe it was Zizo and Laura Gaynor. And Eshwar. Everybody's typing. All right. Maybe I should start typing too. Um, Zizo, I don't know if you're trying to talk or not. Maybe you were, maybe you weren't. I heard something, but you're cutting out. Let me see. Yes, Brendan, I knew it. I knew you came last week. I'm a recent bootcamp graduate looking for my first job in tech. Right. So I remember you came last week and we talked, and um, so I thought I remember you. I think we even connected on LinkedIn. Let me see. Zizo, hello everyone. I am a junior front-end developer. I heard about this event from Eventbrite. I am here to network and find a job. All right. But Zizo, do you have any experience already as a front-end developer, or have you just learned the skills as a front-end developer and you're looking for your first role, or is it like your second role or third role or whatnot? Like if you had any roles or if you had any contracts too, like maybe you've done some freelancing for some clients or anything. Just curious. You don't have to answer. I'm just curious. All right, let me see. Charzy, same. Oh yeah, Charzy just got here. So if you'd like to introduce yourself, tell us how you found the event, a little bit about yourself, what your interest in coding is, things like that. That'll be cool. So you could type it in the chat or you can just speak either way. Ishwar. My name is Ishwar. I'm a .NET full stack developer. I found this event through meetup.com and I'm here to network and find a job. All right. .NET, huh? I don't get a lot of people with .NET experience or any type of .NET interest. That's pretty rare that I've seen anyway. All right. Um, Maybe it's a good thing for you, Eshwar, because maybe there's just going to be less competition out there for you. Because there's a lot of competition for JavaScript developers. Let me see. Uh, some random dude. If you'd like to introduce yourself, tell us how you found the event, what your interests are, what brought you here, and what your current level of experience is. If you want to speak, or you can type it in the chat. It's up to you.
Right, I can speak. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. I enabled my new session, and mostly my interest will be primarily writing video game and usually that nature. I'll say it's experience. I can't say I'm too experienced, but I do know I guess learn to use the basics of Java. I have messed with Python a bit because of classes.
That's at a university or what? It's the
I attend
talking about
Tennessee State
classes.
University.
All right. That's nice. That's cool. Yep. What year are you in?
I'm about to go into my junior year.
Junior year. All right. That's cool. All right. Yeah, I'm about to go into my senior year, so but I'm going for a double major, so it's taking a little bit longer. It's gonna take me a little bit longer than 4 years to finish because I'm double majoring and it requires more credits than a normal bachelor. But I
Mm,
come out with two majors instead of one. All right, so we
yeah,
got I am Logan, aka Lord Gainer from Kenya, and I am from scientific field to be precise, chemistry field. However, I wanted to add onto that by venturing into tech. Two. All right, so you're venturing into tech. About the event, I got info on Eventbrite. All right, Tiffany Mosley heard about this Eventbrite. I'm currently working towards transitioning out of finance into tech. Oh, maybe you can transition into fintech. There's that. That's a part of the industry that's usually wants developers because it seems like very few people have an interest in fintech. It's basically maybe you've heard of it, but because you're already from finance, you'd probably have more interest in working on that side than most people. Um, Maybe you should look into that, like um, look at jobs in that part of the industry and see what you need to like what stack maybe you should be focusing on. All right, so let's see. Uh, I think that's everybody that was new. I know there's somebody that may not have shared, but it's okay. You're not required to. I just asked if you would like to. All right, so I guess I'm gonna share my screen and screens. There we go. No, no, no. All right, I'm gonna share my screen. You guys can tell me if you can see it or not. It's just gonna be us on Discord at first.
Good evening,
What was that, Charzy? Was that you?
it's a pleasure to be here.
Oh yeah, thank you, thank you. Um, um, yeah, yeah, you had a lot of background noise, Marjan. Uh, but yeah, if you'd like to introduce yourself to any of you guys and tell us about your current level of experience and how you found us and what your interest in the event is, that'll be cool too. If you guys want to do that, you can do that anytime. I just try to like to see who's here and get to know a little bit about everybody just coming in. Can you guys hear me okay? Everything? You can hear me just fine? I know Discord has a little bit of bugs this morning. Normally, sometimes it works perfect, and some days it's a little bit sketchy. I don't know if anybody has experience with Microsoft Teams, but it's similar. It's similar where once a piece of software starts getting huge, and they start adding all these features that like they'll add about 1,000 features that nobody's using. It starts getting buggy. Yeah. All right. Let's see. All right, so if you can see my screen, you can view it. I'm going to share something. I have some slides I was going to share, and then we're going to get into something else after the slides. Uh, where am I at? All right, come on. here? Yes, it is. All right. If you can see that, anybody with a mic, if you want to tell me whether you can see that or not.
I can see it.
All right, just because I didn't want to start talking and talking and yakking and yakking and nobody can see what I'm talking about. All right, so normally I like to share the slides, then we'll get into something else. I do have a project, a group project too that's going on, but it's it's kind of the project's kind of like in a very slow process here because everybody's just giving their time when they can, and that's fine. This is it's been moving along, but like very slow. All right, so my name Fernando. I know most of you guys could just call me Fernando if you want, or Nan. I go by Nan. That's my nickname. Uh, the funny part is Nan is not a number in programming, but Nan's been my nickname since I was a child. My mom nicknamed me Nan, so it's like I was born to be a programmer. And we got I'm a new camp coding boot camp graduate, so that's the boot camp that I first went to when I started my journey, and I went took their full stack JavaScript development program, graduated. It was about 8 months long back then, something like that. Now it's shorter. Now it's about 6 months long, I believe. Student at University of Advancing Technology. So that's a private university in Tempe, Arizona, that I go to, and that's where I'm double majoring for advancing computer science. It's just a computer science, but they call it advancing computer science because I guess the name of the college, advancing technology, and they also have. I'm also double majoring in artificial intelligence, so it's a dual major. And that university too is a tech university, so it's a private university, but they have all tech majors. So it's everything tech. They don't do nothing else. All they do is focus on tech stuff. Completed a software engineering apprenticeship that was 8 months long where I learned from senior software engineers, probably about a dozen of them. I still am in contact with the majority of them, and I have have a big network of developers that I know or that I work on contracts with or that I'm working on projects with on the side. Uh, Founder and CEO Dark Mode Devs. That's my company that I started because I wanted to start. I'm an entrepreneur at heart. I wanted to start my own company and find my success and build things with other people, uh, or build things that like ideas that I had that I wanted to bring to life and try to monetize or at any level see it succeed at any level. Because you just don't know how. Everybody thinks their ideas are the greatest, and the reality is when you put something out there, you just don't know the public reaction. You don't know what you're actually gonna get, and but it's good to keep going and just keep putting stuff out there. Don't stop building, especially if your aim is to get a job at a tech company. Don't stop building, keep building, but make it unique. So we'll get into that. Just make sure you're building unique stuff and not copying and pasting projects from YouTube or anywhere else. Why a career in coding? The tech industry is booming. Everybody knows it is. It's growing. There's a lot of changes in there, especially with AI. But um, some people just. All right. Let me see really fast. Give me 1 second. All right. So sorry to interrupt. Okay, we have somebody new. That's why. And yeah, thank you for muting. Uh, I was just checking on that. Where am I at? Here we go. Oops. All right. So back to where we were. I believe we were there. Yeah. So, whoa. Give me 1 second. There we go. All right, so back to where we were. Sorry about that. So yeah, the tech's growing. The tech industry's growing. AI is the big thing right now, and everything's getting integrated. You know, digitally. Like it seems like everything's made like everything we do in life. Everybody sees it all around us nowadays. especially those of us that have been around, long enough to see uh, maybe 15 years ago how different it was from today. It's a lot different. Even 10 years ago was pretty drastic, but like 15 or 20 years ago, it's like tremendous, like how different it is. Um, all right, so we got the demand is high, and some people have talked about, well, the industry sucks right now. They're not hiring, but they are hiring. So if you pay attention, you're gonna see they are hiring, but they're not hiring as much as they were during COVID. So like everybody got used to COVID. I guess they got spoiled because during COVID, all these companies were hiring like crazy because everybody was working from home and everybody was trying to encourage, like I guess the government too was trying to make it so people can support themselves, even though they were putting money out there. But there's a lot of things that happened during COVID. So COVID was like a curse and a blessing, right? Because it was a curse because of all the bad that was going on. You had people losing their lives, all kinds of craziness. Everybody knows. I don't have to repeat it, but there's also blessings because there's a remote jobs developed and there's a lot of maybe tech that came out during that time, and there's a lot of changes that we benefited from now that during that occurred during that time, just like any time. Got to but besides all that, the demand is high, like for software developers. But I say it in the sense or in the context because it's hard, because it's not easy, because there's a lot of people that want to do it, but not all of those people can actually do it. That's the reality. But you'll find out, like you don't know until you start going. For some people, it just takes persistence, and some people they just soak it up like a sponge, and they're able to do it really quickly. But some people they just there's actually science that coding boot camp did that I looked into for a while. Where they have their applicants take software engineering aptitude tests because they said that they were able to show that not everybody has a mind for coding. That they might want to code, but not everybody can actually wrap their mind around it, grasp it, and actually do it. So they have this aptitude test for that. All right. So besides that, I would say too that the hiring is slow because they're looking for, like, nowadays they want people that are very competent, very experienced, like people that are really good. So they want top talent. Everybody wants top talent, especially for the amount of money they're getting paid. And then depending on what kind of developer, the competition's fierce. Like especially for a JavaScript developer, like if you're gonna be like a React developer, especially a React developer, that's the most common, or probably the most the one you see the most out there, as far as web development goes. You see a lot of React development jobs, but there's a lot of competition for that, where you're going to be competing against hundreds or even 1,000 applicants for a front end job. Uh, um, you know, so it's like it is it's the competition's a lot, but that's why I try to stress the emphasis of standing out and trying to build unique projects and not copying and pasting stuff off the net. Um, all right, so the average estimated salary, this is just an average, about 70, but I've seen on the low end about maybe 55-ish, and I've seen on the high end maybe about 120-ish. Nowadays, I don't think 120 is gonna hold true anymore. Most people starting are around 90-ish, like around 90, 95-ish thousand, but that's still a lot more um, money than most people make. And some people, depending on their motivation in coding, they're in it either for the money or for something else. Uh,
अरे निट्टू
Hello, whoever that is. All right, so we've got, I don't know who just popped in trying to speak, but yeah,
వాడిని
thank.
వచ్చి అక్కడ ప్రెజెంటేషన్ ఇచ్చే స్క్రీన్ షాట్ తీయమను.
Mm, oh, Cycleon. I don't know if I said your name right, but yeah. Can you guys see my screen? Anybody? Like Brendan? Like everything's good? I thought I heard them say something about the presentation.
No, no, it was showing up fine for
Okay,
me.
all
The
right,
slides were showing up fine.
All right, so Cycleon, thank you for joining us. All right, so um, what about AI? And there's always people saying AI is going to take our jobs, or AI is taking our jobs right now. Maybe that's why they're not hiring. But there are some tech companies out there that maybe they want to take a gamble on using AI for as much stuff as they want. But a lot of them are also starting to see what a mistake that was. Because and then it's all gonna, like, in my opinion, because I built large language models before and I know how they work. I wouldn't, like, in my company, say for example I had, I don't know, a bunch of money to invest in something, and what I would not do is invest my money into automating everything I
ఏయ్
can with
అటు
AI.
అడుపు వాచ్ అని వచ్చిందా పైన?
Hello.
దాని మీద వాచ్ అని దాని మీద కొట్టు. అరే దాని కిందరా ఫస్ట్ విండో.
All right, whoever that was, if you can please, uh, hold on, give me a second. So I muted you just temporarily. I'll unmute you after I'm done with the presentation. All right. Um, Back to where we were, about AI. So, like, what I wouldn't do is I would not put all my, I wouldn't put all everything I've got on automating everything with AI and relying on AI to build things for me, relying on AI to call or leads or find like, you know what I mean? Like, for me, it's like what I've seen, AI is a little bit sketchy to me because I built it and I know how it runs under the hood. Like, I know that I like the magic. In other words, the magic for AI is like there's no more magic. It's kind of like, um, if you heard about people that are game developers, it's something similar to that. The analogy is where, like, you play a game and it's like the best thing ever, but once you know how to build games, the magic's gone because you know how it works. You know how everything's working. You're just like, the magic's gone. It doesn't look the same. It doesn't feel the same, and that happens to people, depending on what they're chasing after and what they start doing. Maybe it was a passion because I love games. I like PC gaming, but I chose to get into AI instead of game development as my double major, and so I still got the magic for games, but for AI, the magic's gone, and that's what I mean. But the magic's gone, and I feel like that's a mistake if anybody's out there doing it to a certain extent. Um, and you can see, like, when AI writes text or articles for people, especially like people that want to put content on the internet. I could tell if it's written by ChatGPT or something else because I've seen enough of it, and it's got, like, ChatGPT almost has its own style of language. If I don't know how to say it, but it's almost like the AI itself has its own fingerprint that it leaves behind, because it does, in some way it does have what's called similar to a fingerprint, but you could start seeing it in the tone it's using, and in the language, in the word selection it's choosing, in the way it generates things, because it's not always accurate, especially for code. So, like, that's what I mean. So, like, anybody that's hanging their hat on AI right now, it's gonna end up blowing back in their face because, in my opinion, people are too. AI is not at that level where I think it can replace people. People are too unique. Like, we're too unique and talented. People can become, like, people are more talented. Like, for example, my girlfriend, she does, she also knows full stack web development, but she has a degree in what is that, marketing and graphic design. That's what it is. And I think her designs are better than what the AI generates. So, like, sometimes AI can generate some pretty cool stuff, but she can take that and make it better, or she can even just from scratch make something for a client that's better than anything the AI generates. And that's what I mean, is there's a lot of people picking AI solutions, but they're garbage. Like, I think they're not, like, at first they were cool, but they're not that great, and they don't really, they don't have that human element in them. Once you start getting used to them, and when you're working with clients, for example, like, say for example, I'll take her example. Like, when you're working with a client working on a logo, like, you're trying to design their logo and make their color scheme, the AI is just random, and it can't communicate with the client to get a feel for and see what, like, you know what I mean, to get to know them and get a feel for their products and what their brand is supposed to look and feel like to maybe to an audience out there. And but she can grasp that, she does that, and she shows them her work and they love it. And that's what I mean. And we recently had a client that was trying to use AI tools to generate logos, and she said that she spent money. She's used free and premium, and she has yet to find a logo that she likes that fits her unique brand. But um, I told her to stop, and we're gonna be presenting her with some more work, and I guarantee she's gonna pick one because it's just humans are better no matter what, even coding. So like I tell people, once you get enough experience coding, you can see when it's AI generated code, and it's usually buggy or wrong. There's something wrong with it, especially when you're going past the beginner level of coding. So like for example, like if you ask ChatGPT to generate some beginner code, like some low level code, um, it's gonna get it right most of the time. But when you ask it to do something more complex, that's when things start happening. That's when you start getting bugs. You start getting logic that doesn't do exactly what you want it to or what you asked it to produce. Or like you start getting code that just doesn't work to begin with, like depending on the complexity that you're asking the AI to generate it. There is a way to like prompt AI in steps and stages, but it's kind of a little bit tedious and drawn out. You could get faster with it, but it's still like for me, for what my experience, depending on what I'm building, I can just write the code myself faster, like and get it right faster. And if anybody tested it, I would feel I'm confident it'll work exactly the way it's supposed to work. And that just comes with like experience, right? AI doesn't have that, so AI gives you the illusion that it can think and do things like a human being, but it's not. At least that AI, the natural language processing, like GPT, like any of those GPTs or large language models, those NLPs out there, those like Claude AI or Black Box or any of those that you've heard of out there, even GitHub Copilot, they're all just NLPs, and most of them are using OpenAI's API under the hood, which is they're basically using ChatGPT behind the scenes. Most of them. All right, so how much difference would it make in your life if 6 to 9 months from now you were making 70,000 a year writing code? I ain't got to tell you the answer to that, right? Like, it makes a difference to anybody. Even if you're an entrepreneur, like you're trying to start your own thing, which is like not a lot of people want to be entrepreneurs because it's very hard to be an entrepreneur. It's hard to build your own company, and then you got, I could tell you right now, it's like it feels like a slow crawl to victory because you're building a brand, you're building something from the ground up, and nobody knows who you are. You got to get that awareness, that brand awareness. You got to get that reputation. You got to get people to see your logo and recognize it, to know that you do good work, right? And you got to build that. You got to build people's trust from scratch. Like some of these companies have been around a long time and they have it already to some degree. And when you're stepping into that, you're kind of competing with that in a way to some degree, depending on what you're trying to do, and it's a lot harder. Like the here in the United States, they say that the IRS expects you to be negative for your first 4 years in business. In other words, that you're not even going to have taxable income because you're going to be negative because you're spending more money um, um, actually trying to run your business than you are making profit, right? Even if you think it's profit, you're still negative because the business expenses are more than the profit you're making. So that's always a possibility. For me, my first year was a little bit positive, so I haven't had a negative year yet. I'm on my second year and it's been positive so far. So hopefully it just keeps growing, right? And but it's hard, like because I'm a full-time student. I'm trying to run a company full time. Me and my girlfriend just had a baby, so that feels even more full time in my life now. Like everything's just going on. It's like really really busy, really tough, but you just got to stick with it, depending on if that's your plan. A tech company a little bit different, right? Because you're working somewhere else temporarily until you get the job that you really really want. So much demand. I talked about that already because it's hard. Um, and there's four options. I've combined pretty much all four of them, and then you're gonna probably combine maybe some, maybe none, maybe you'll take one or two. But I've walked through all four of these doors I'm talking about to get through tech. in some way or the other at some point in my life. But so far, luxury option, everybody knows this one, the university. If you got 4 years to spend learning, go for it. But the debt, you already know how much debt that's going to be for most people. It's going to be anywhere from 60 to 120,000 a year, depending on if they qualified for grants or if they want any grants anywhere. If they applied for like grants out there and maybe they want a grant, maybe that took some of the edge off. But if you qualify for grants from the federal government, that'll pay for close to maybe half of your degree. But you're still gonna say, for example, you go for a bachelor, and you're projected to go about on average $120,000 in debt after 4 years. But you qualified for grants, you might be around 60,000 in debt after 4 years, right? Because you qualified for the grant. There's different qualifications. Not everybody qualifies for all those things, but some people do. And if you do, then maybe you could take advantage of that. Traditional boot camp. Um, and this is where we talk about coding boot camps. There's a lot of them out there. There's a lot of expensive ones out there. So there's a lot out there for like 10, 20, 30, $40,000. And then there's some that are on the lower end, like cheaper. And what I know is because I work for New Camp Coding Bootcamp as a ambassador and web developer, and I'm also a graduate there. So I was a student there. That's where I started my JavaScript coding journey, was at New Camp Coding Bootcamp. And they were the reason I selected them was because they had I was looking at full stack development. I was looking for web development and app development programs at different boot camps, and they all seem to have similar tech stacks and similar curriculum. But the price, it was the cost that I was looking at real closely. Like, okay, is the cost worth it? Like, am I gonna get anything better than the other for the cost? So I didn't want to overpay and I didn't want to underpay and get garbage, right? So I turned out, after I did all my research and my experience, or from what I got out of New Camp Coding Boot Camp, they were actually they actually um, advertised that they're the most affordable boot camp, and they are also, for the cost, they are the most affordable boot camp. So like, they'll have like maybe the full stack program for about $3,000 to $4,000, depending. I believe it's around 3,000 right now, depending on the discounts. And and you're gonna see other boot camps out there, other brands that are doing the same thing. Like they have the similar curriculum, they're providing instructors, everything's similar. There's other students, there's a community, there's assignments, there's projects you're gonna be building, there's stuff like that, just like any other boot camp. But there's other boot camps that are charging, I don't know, 5, 10 times more than they are for the same thing, right? So that's basically, some people say you get what you pay for, but at the same time, $3,000 to $5,000 is still expensive for somebody, especially somebody just learning, and somebody with a job that's not in tech. Say you have a job that's not in tech, and or even if you're a full-time student, right? Like I was okay, so I started at the coding boot camp, and then I transitioned into full time halfway through the boot camp, and I was doing the boot camp and the university both full time. My days were busy, packed. I didn't sleep a lot because I worked from the time I got up in the morning. I worked on just coding all day, and sometimes late into the night. Sometimes I'd go to sleep at like 1, 2 in the morning and wake up and do it again because I had uh, I was kind of overwhelmed, I guess you could say, because I signed up for um, my freshman year at the university during the boot camp because I didn't want to wait. I didn't want to wait, and I was like, you know what, I could do it. I could do it, and I did it. And like, it's tough, and it's tough to do that. And so like, the reason why I'm mentioning that is because maybe you have a job full time and you're wondering if you should get into a boot camp full time. It's possible to do it. You just have to be committed, and everything else you got to put on the back burner, right? You're just gonna have to pick your priorities. But also, New Camp Coding Bootcamp does part-time boot camps, so they do full-time and part-time now. So like, they don't just have full-time boot camps. Like when I went, I believe they just had a full-time program, but now they have part-time and full-time, and now they have other, newer curriculum, and you get lifetime access to that curriculum. So I have lifetime access to the curriculum at New Camp. So like, you pay, but once you graduate, you get um, full-time access or lifetime access to the curriculum, and as the curriculum evolves, you get access to that. And they also have payment plans. So like they do payment plans so that way like when I went, I didn't have to pay nothing until I graduated. Once I graduated, I just had monthly payments I had to make until it's paid off, and now the boot camp's paid off. So I'm paid off right now on the boot camp. I'm still going to university in my senior year, getting ready to go into my senior year, but it's going to take me a little longer than 4 years, so my debt's going to be a little bit higher because I'm double majoring. So that's the difference. Um, for me, I just figured, hey, it's about, I believe it was at my university, it was about 18 credits more for a double major. And yeah, that's more time, that's more time depending on how much credits you're earning per semester. But to me, it was worth it because I seen it as I'm going to have this, I have this massive investment going on at the university. Why not just take full advantage of it? And that's the reason why I double majored. Um, and you could teach yourself online, which is closer to self-taught, where you just basically you just it's kind of willy-nilly, right? You just do whatever you're doing, whatever you feel is right according to whatever you've been able to dig up online, and maybe this is what I want to do, and then you start learning it at random places. However you choose to learn, basically. I mean, you really, any structure you have is because you were able to give that to yourself if you're able to do that, because you have to create your own structure because you have nobody to create it for you. You have to, I guess, develop what your roadmap is going to look at, because nobody's going to just give you that roadmap like they do with universities or boot camps, or maybe even with a mentor, like someone that's more experienced than you. They're going to point you in the right direction, tell you based on what your interests are, what you should be learning, what you should be focusing on, help you figure out what tech stack you should be focusing on, and things like that. All those things that a lot of things that you're going to have to do by yourself if you're going self-taught. Or get a mentor we talked about, and that's a one-on-one or even a class setting with somebody that's experienced, and it's constant one-on-one. So I do a mentorship program for full stack JavaScript development, and where we start is with the JavaScript programming language because that is the hardest part. Because if you can't do programming in JavaScript, you're not going to be able to make it as a developer. And that's just being honest. I know that's being brutally honest, but that's being brutally honest, like seriously. So like if you get into my program, I run you through the gamut a little bit, but I'm there with you, like I help you, like I'm helping you learn along the way. Even if you're zero experience, I'm helping you learn along the way, because most of my students are zero experience. And the first things first, JavaScript programming language. We can do HTML and CSS, or any of the CSS frameworks or libraries, or even any of the JavaScript frameworks or libraries till you're blue in the face, but you're not going to really get it unless you really get JavaScript as a programming language and how it works, unless you get DOM manipulation and manipulating the DOM tree and how that works, unless you get all those things, right? Like you have to really, really get the tough concepts, because that's the tough part, is the programming language is the tough part. That's the important part. So I tell people, if the programming language part of it is too hard for you, when you get into a framework, which is basically just JavaScript anyway, that's going to be hard for you. So I don't just throw people into a framework, and I try to make sure that it's at your pace. Basically, I pick up on your learning curve, and I try to provide concepts as you're capable of digesting them. I don't try to just say, okay, you're learning this, and then we're moving on, and that's that. And if you don't get it, I don't care. That's not how I operate. So like at a university or boot camp, they don't have time to wait. So that's why it feels like that. They're gonna give you assignments. You're gonna have due dates for those assignments. You're gonna have class meetings you're expected to show up to, and if you get left behind, you get left behind. In other words, if you don't finish the work and you go into the next week behind, that's on you. They're not gonna wait for you. For the mentorship, it's at the pace of how quickly you learn, but I expect you to be there, because I don't care how much money you're paying me. If you're not gonna be there, I'm just gonna stop. I'm gonna tell you, I'm showing up. You're wasting my time. You're doing yourself an injustice too. If you're committing to things and you're not following through with them. But All right, so going on that, I always argue that both are valuable because I had the same experience. So why did I develop the mentorship program? Because when I had mentors, like I said, I learned from over a dozen senior software engineers at some point during an 8 month period of time, and what I got from those mentors was priceless. Was like uh, where it was things, it was like gems of knowledge, like constantly too, like these big sources of great knowledge consistently for 8 months that I never got from a university or a boot camp or from self learning. Like these are things that these people picked up from working at companies, industry experience, and building industry level programs or software, right? And they're teaching you these things. Of course, a lot of the concepts you learn in the coding boot camps and the universities are applicable. So I'm not saying that they're irrelevant because they are relevant, but I'm saying there's a level of knowledge that you're gonna learn when you're actually building projects with more experienced people that you're not going to learn anywhere else. I guess you could say, unless somebody's giving you that. So like that's what I'm trying to do in my mentorship program is I try to gauge where people are at, see where I can help them, their strengths and weaknesses, and I try to give them those gems, share those gems with them, like things that you're not going to learn that that people just don't learn in coding boot camps or universities. But the coding boot camps are great because the most of them are designed to get you job ready in maybe 6 months to a year. So they give you all everything that you need to know for that the role you're trying to apply for. So like they're not leaving you lacking. It's just there's things that you're gonna learn as you build and build with people or even or yeah and just build that like there's things you learn from it's just hard to explain. There's a lot of things that you learn about the concepts you're learning. So like for example, um, I guess you could say like at a university is more in depth, right? So like anybody that's been to a university, you're gonna get stuff more in depth knowledge of stuff, and it's gonna that's why it's 4 years. Um, a coding boot camp's gonna feel a little bit crash coursey because they're showing you so much so quick. But there's going to feel like there's once you start applying that knowledge and you start applying it with people, especially more experienced people, you're going to see that you're going to feel in hindsight that those learning institutions kind of uh, left things open, like they kind of didn't cover some of that stuff. And then the deeper you go into it, there's going to be more and more that you find out that you learn from experienced people. Like I can like in other words, if you built a project one on one with somebody experienced, you're going to learn a lot more than just building it at school, right? Like because the professor doesn't really build the project with you. You're expected to learn whatever he's trying to teach you and then implement it by yourself. um, Whereas I'm trying to provide an environment where we're building it together, right? So I don't know. There's a difference. Just you just gotta kind of see it or experience it. All right. So these key strategies is just um, how to finish your online learning. Like these are 7 strategies that New Camp Coding Boot Camp they did some research and they ended up digging up some stuff online. And it's not like the data's not what this data that came from reputable sources, but that they put it together for us for these slides. And they claim that it's 5 to 15% chance of anybody finishing online courses, but you can raise that to maybe max 85% for most people. I'm not saying that like anybody, you get it. I'm sure you guys know what statistics are and you get what those percentages are, what they represent. So like even if you try to have these strategies implemented, you still can't fix laziness or you still can't fix procrastination, right? Because if it's up to you to like it's going to be on your drive, how ambitious you are, how hungry you are, I guess you could say. Because if you're hungry and you really want it, there's nothing that's going to stop you. I'm just going to say that because that's how I am. I'm very ambitious, very hungry. I'm out there like getting everything I can, right? I'm trying to take advantage of every experience I can get. I'm trying to I'm trying to be that top talent, and I'm trying to spin it a little bit where, yeah, I'm running my own company, but I've already had one company that's one of my competitors, but they're doing a lot better financially than I am. They reached out on me to me on LinkedIn and offered me a job already. I didn't even apply for that job. And that's what I mean. When you're top talent, people start reaching out to you, like, "Hey, we want you to come work with us. We've seen your profile," and they're talking directly with you. "We want you to come. We're gonna give you the job. Just go through the motions, basically." And I said no because my dream is my company, and I'm not gonna go give my time to my competitor and make them succeed and then watch my company die. And that's how I felt about it. Some people they would have taken it, right? Most people would have been like, you know what, I'm taking that opportunity. But me, I'm crazy like that. I have my dreams that I feel life is too short, and I feel like we all gotta accomplish our dreams, right? And that's what I want. I want my company to be successful. I want something that I built to be successful. And I know that with time, these companies will keep reaching out to me like, hey, we want to hire you. And it took time to get there. It didn't just happen overnight. It doesn't just happen overnight. It's just how you represent yourself, the things you're doing, the things you're building, your level of knowledge. I've held a 4.0 GPA at the university every single semester I've been on the dean's list and the president's list. Every semester, 4.0 GPA, that's like perfect. Every semester on, and I did that because I want to show myself as top talent. I want to be top talent. I want people to know that I paid attention to what I'm learning, right? So like back to these right here. You need to put skin in the game. I say skin isn't just money either. So like, according to the slides, the more money you put in, the more it's gonna have your attention because it hurts. Like, you know what I mean? Anybody pulls out their wallet and they gotta pay, depending on the price they gotta pay, it hurts, right? You're gonna feel it. You're gonna be like, damn. Um, it's the same thing with your time. I feel and if it doesn't feel like that to you, I feel like you gotta be more conscious of your time because time is limited to our time is precious. Our time is limited. You know what I mean? Money has a value that decreases with inflation, and it's just a piece of paper at the end of the day. You can light it on fire, right? But your time, I mean, you can similarly, and as an, I guess on a, as an analogy, you can light that on fire too if you're not paying attention and you're just squandering your time on Earth, right? But what I'm saying is that your time is very valuable too. Like you gotta get to a point where you understand that your time is valuable. Lawyers know that. If you talk to a lawyer, their time is valuable. You talk to experienced developers, they're going to tell you the same thing. It costs money for me because my time is valuable. A lot of money too for them. And what I'm saying is start opening your eyes to realize that your time is valuable, and you want to put your time into things that are going to benefit you the most. And we got real deadlines, so we need real deadlines. We don't need these fake deadlines like you get on most of these courses. You know what I mean? That you're going to want to be in some kind of structured setting because in a structured setting like a university, boot camp, mentorship, you're going to get the real deadlines. You got people holding you liable. Like me, I'm going to hold you liable. I'm going to tell you, hey, if I give you a deadline, I'm expecting it. At the university or boot camp, you get a deadline, they're expecting it, and if you don't, you fail, right? You fail. You're just hurting yourself. Um, and then we're going to combine different types of learning. So the types of learning they're talking about here are just two concepts that are part of JavaScript programming, synchronous and asynchronous programming, but we're not going to get into that. We're just going to say that the coursework that you go through, there's got to be coursework that's at your own pace, and then there's got to be coursework that's done by other students in the same course collectively, maybe even with an instructor, because there is coursework like when I was going to new camp, coding boot camp. Um, at the end of the week we would have a meeting with all the students and our instructor, and they would go over, we would build with them again. So like we had work we did during the week, but we would build again on, we would cover the concepts, like it's almost like recovering, going over the concepts we just learned throughout the week. Now we're reapplying those concepts, building something else that day for about 4 or 5 hours. I believe we're spending that time together, and we're touching on all those concepts and expanding on them by using code. And then if we get stuck, we have our peers, which are other students, helping us out. And at the same time, you have your instructor. If everybody's stuck, or if you're stuck by yourself and you need your instructor, you can ask for your instructor. They come in and say, okay, what's the problem? Let's get you past this, right? So they're doing their best to help you too. Even though they can't, even though they can't go at your pace because the course has to keep moving and has to keep moving, has to keep moving. Um, they're still there for you. They're still good. You need peer pressure, and that's like similar to what I was talking about. Especially when you're working in a team. Like when you're working in a team, everybody is relying on each other. So you can't afford to slack off, right? Because if you're procrastinating or you're not doing your job right, it's affecting the team, and that's what people have to be aware of too in programming. Depending on most of the time, especially for these big companies, you're going to be working with the team, and you're not going to be working alone. Like it's easier to get in the habit of working alone and being responsible for yourself or liable to yourself, but like if you want to get a job at these companies out there, you're going to be working in a team, and that team is going to be reliant on each other. And that's another thing is like at a university or a boot camp, especially a boot camp, or even my mentorship program, when we're working as a team, like you're going to feel that. And especially if you're working on a project, like we're building a little project with a team, you're gonna feel that if you're delaying on your part, and everybody's waiting to see, waiting for you basically, and you can't keep people waiting on you. You got to keep moving. Um, you and your work need to be seen. So that's another bonus is that on these courses online, a lot of them, your work never gets seen. You're just watching a video from some person, and you never really get to have contact with this person. They have a community, but maybe the community is not very active, right? But your work needs to be seen. So, like at a university, boot camp, mentorship, well, my mentorship anyway, your work gets seen right there. Where while you're working, I'm watching your screen while you're working most of the time, um, and I'm giving you immediate feedback on what you're doing right, on what you're doing wrong, on what you can do better. And it's not bad either. It's like good feedback, like really good feedback, because I'm not negative. So you need end of course incentives. Everybody knows about these, right? You get stuff for finishing. You get some kind of and you get something for finishing that you're looking forward to, and that can be a lot of things besides a certificate. That could be a lot of things. Maybe it's a job with their hiring partners. Like you have some of these programs out there, they'll say that if you finish our boot camp and you did well, then we're going to help you get hired with our partners. Because that means that they're willing to vouch for you. They're willing to say, hey, you know what? We're willing to say that, hey, this person can do their job, and they're going to get you hired because their reputation with that with their partners. And some places, even if you finish their program, they won't vouch for you because they've gotten to know you as a person, and they're like, well, I'm not willing to vouch for this person because they did finish the program, but I'm not confident in enough that they're actually ready for this position yet. That's basically what they're saying. But most of the time, when people finish those type of programs, they usually get placed at a partner company. Depending on the circumstance, some of them you want to do that, some of them you don't, because some of them they're taking a big portion of your salary. So like I had a friend that she went through a boot camp. She's a senior engineer now, but she went through a boot camp. She went through, I think it was Reviture. And what they do is they make you sign a contract where we're going to teach you to get the job in tech. But um, for years after she got her first job in tech, they were taking a large portion of her yearly salary until she paid off. That's how they get paid for their boot camp, for their teaching, for getting you a job. She was missing out on tens of thousands of dollars. I forgot how much, but like for example, say for example, um, you get you negotiate a salary with your first job and it's 90,000, right? We'll just use that as an example. We don't know for sure, but 90,000, they're going to take at least a third of that, and they're going to leave you with 60,000 because that 30,000 every year is going to them for that program. So like there's programs out there, you can look that up. There's a few of them, but one of them is Reviture. Some people say it's not worth it. Some people say those programs ain't worth it because well, a lot of those programs too require you to have a computer science degree too. So you can look those up, but some of them require you to have a degree already. But some people say it's actually not worth it because they take a large portion of your salary, and you're better off finishing your degree and keep building and keep applying until you get your own, until you get in somewhere, because then you don't got to take a hit on your salary. Uh, what option that checks all these boxes? Of course, New Camp. But there are other boot camps with a similar structure. But New Camp's a good boot camp, very affordable. They have all the boot camps like web fundamentals. So if you have zero knowledge, you learn the basics before you go into like front end web development with like React or React Native. Um, Full stack web and mobile. They have that one, so that way you learn both front end and back end. Back end SQL and DevOps. This one's a good one because you're gonna learn some Python. So you'll have a knowledge of both Python and JavaScript. If you take like, you got to take the next boot camp I'm gonna show. If you take any one of these, you're just gonna learn what's here inside of that boot camp. Cybersecurity. They just added that one, and then you have job hunting, where at the end of the boot camp, they help you get a job where they're getting you interview ready, helping you with your resumes, helping you apply to jobs, things like that. This one's the one I was talking about, where you get the complete software engineering path with them. You get the fundamentals, you get full stack, so you're going to learn front end and back end, but you also get the back end with Python. So that way you come out of it not just with full stack web development, you come out of it with back-end knowledge, with more in-depth DevOps knowledge. Python, you're going to learn more about Python and SQL. Whereas in the full stack web and mobile development, you're going to be learning MongoDB. You're not going to learn SQL, but it's good to know both. So that's what I was saying. Like they didn't have this. They didn't have this path here. This the complete software engineering. Oh yeah, you also get the job hunting, but they didn't have this when I was going. So I went years ago. All they had was the web fundamentals, the full stack, front end, back end, and that was it. Now they got cybersecurity, back end with DevOps, job hunting, and these other things going on. But with this boot camp, you get all this. If I had the opportunity to take this program back then, I would have taken this one. Like the full stack at a minimum, right? Because full stack, you're gonna get front end and back end knowledge. But if you really want to go more in depth, especially with back end stuff, and you want to come out with a knowledge of Python on top of that, this one's a good one. Because then you're open to more multiple roles, right? When you go to full stack, you're open to applying to front end, back end, and full stack roles. That's three roles right there instead of just one. The same thing with this complete software engineering. You're gonna be open to Python roles on top of those three. So think about that. So like if you're gonna make the investment, go for the like make your maximum investment. Like make it like you want to go full all in and do your best, right? So that way you have more opportunities, you have more doors to knock on. That's how I see it. More doors to knock on, the better. Um, well, yeah, affordable, flexible, and structured, like I was saying. So they have boot camps around 3,000 or less, which are good for the curriculum they're teaching. Oh yeah, and like I said before, they had part time. So they have full time and part time. So that way, if you already have a job, they can help you, or if maybe you're going to university, they can help you. And then they have payment plans too. Like right here, pay with no interest monthly, or you can pay zero until you graduate. Um, and then with my link right here, you'll get 5% off the registration fee, and then I can get you anywhere from $300 to $400 off the boot camp itself. That's the early bird pricing, where depending on when you or when you sign up and using my link, I can get you further discounts. And then for my mentorship program, right now it's currently 50% off, $50 a week basically, and you learn with me 5 days a week, a couple hours every evening, depending on if you're going with me one-on-one or in the class setting. The one-on-one's a little bit more than the class setting, but um, the $50 a week is for the class setting. Like where you're gonna be in there with you and maybe someone else or other people, and then we're gonna be learning together consistently, right? Um, but these are just the seven that we went over already. I'm not going to go back over those. And of course, write a new chapter in your life. So yeah, chase it. So if that's your dream, chase it. Don't give it up. It's tough. Some people achieve it quicker than others, and some people it just takes time. And I would just say like, don't give up on that time. Like don't just keep chasing it. Like chase your dreams, right? Got to go for it. Life's too short. So anybody got any questions? Q&A?
Another question.
unusual activity.
Another question.
Yeah, just if you had any questions about what I shared
Mm,
or anything like that.
Yeah, well, so for the book camp and the mentors in the mentor show, are there any set times or is it more flexible?
Um, yeah, we do right now for the class setting. We have a set time, which is usually evenings right now, from 6 to 8. So um, that's just been a time that's been more convenient for some of the a lot of the students I've had because they're working during the day. Like, they work during the morning and the afternoon, and then they come home and then they're able. But depending on your time zone, I guess it depends on your time zone because not all of us are in the same time zone. But it's about 6 to 8 Arizona time. So like right now where I'm at, it's 11:06 a.m. right now where I'm at in Arizona. So to give you an idea of maybe our time zone difference. But yeah, it's Monday through Friday, a couple hours a night, and we're live. We're all live.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wanted to ask a little bit about your thoughts about the front end, full stack, and back end types of positions. The other day, I had a conversation with somebody who said that in general, I mean, this isn't necessarily true at all companies, but in general, front end roles going to be a lot more people applying, so lots of competition. So back end roles, you may have advantage the advantage of not being at quite as many people. Proportion to the roles, but the disadvantage being that there's going to be higher standards, the interviews are going to be harder, and they may not look very kindly on boot camp graduates because they generally think, boot camp graduates are front end people. They may not know data structures, algorithms as well. So, do you find that boot camp people can do back end roles, or do you think they mostly gravitate toward the front end roles?
For me, I think your friend is right for the most part. So like people do gravitate in boot camps towards the front end roles, and like to be honest, it's because front end roles are easier. So like when I do full stack, so I know front end, back end. Front end, for in my opinion, front end's a lot easier, and back end is a lot harder. And the logic, the level of logic is a lot high level, and you do gotta, and it's very important on the back end to know your data structures and algorithms, and choosing, just knowing the code base you're working with, the data you're working with, and then connecting those dots and figuring out, okay, what's the data structures we should be using or whatever's in place already. But like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that goes into all that. But that I have noticed that at boot camps, because I've had students come to me for my mentorship program that have graduated from different boot camps, and the boot camp that I don't know, I'm not going to mention any particular boot camps, but some of them spent money at a boot camp, and the boot camp didn't show them, I guess, or didn't make sure that they were, I guess that they were absorbing everything they were learning, and they came in thinking that they were more experienced than they actually were, because like I kind of like pull the covers on that. So like I like to like assess you and see where you're at, but I do like a real assessment, and similar to a technical interview, I kind of put you similarly in that context, but not quite, just because I'm just trying to run an assessment, and that's where I see where your development skills really show. And I know some people will argue that maybe it's um, a nervousness, but I could tell because over time, as I get to know you, I'm gonna be able to tell. I could just tell because I know there that does factor in a little bit. But yeah, your friend was right. Front end development roles you see everywhere, like everybody. Like, so a lot of boot camp graduates, like when I was at the boot camp, even if they took the full stack development program with me, at the end of that they were saying I'm going for front end roles, front end roles, front end roles. And then your friend's right, back end roles, there's a lot less competition. So if you go out there online and you start looking for jobs anywhere on a reputable platform, of course, and you're looking at front end and back end roles, you're going to see that there's a hell of a lot more competition on front end roles. There's going to be hundreds of applicants. On the back end roles, there's going to be like 10 or 15 applicants, right? Maybe even five applicants. There's going to be a lot less because there's people that are learning these things, but they have a lower interest in back end because I guess they can't see that you could see what you're doing, but they don't see all the fanciness, right? They want all the fancy, all the pretty, I guess. I don't know what it is, but um, the back end, you're writing a lot of logic that you have to be able to wrap your mind around and grasp mentally while you're writing that logic. And then, there's different ways to test whether that logic is correct or to run that code to make sure that it's doing what it's supposed to do. But for some people that I've heard a lot of boot camp graduates try to say that that type of work was a boring, but then I believe that you shouldn't be doing any role. So I feel like if you feel like any coding is boring, then you shouldn't be coding because you gotta really love it. Because if it's like when you're doing a job. Like I told people in my past when I used to work construction when I was young. One of my first jobs was working construction because I had family members that owned construction companies, and I hated it. Like I already knew I was an intellectual person, that I wanted to be inside, but I had family members giving me my first job, and it was busting my hands out, physically, physical work, hard labor out in the sun or out in some building, some commercial building somewhere, doing flooring or something else, right? Because I did flooring, I've done roofing, I've done framing, I've done a bunch of stuff in construction early on in my life when I was just a teenager and I was learning, and I was very unhappy. I would come home after hours and hours and hours of that type of work, and I didn't feel fulfilled, and um, and that's what I mean. If you feel like that with any job, I don't believe you should be doing it. So like if you want to really code, then you should know that at some point you should be able to figure out or know that you love doing it, and it shouldn't matter whether you're on the front end, the back end, or a full stack role. If you love it, you love it. And yeah, it is harder on the back end, but you still love it. Like for me, I still love it. I still love the logic of it. It's like a puzzle, like a even harder puzzle that I got to figure out, but I love it. That's how I feel about it. Like it's more of a challenge, but I love it. Um, and that's how you have to be when you're stepping into these things. But there are boot camps out there that don't do data structures and algorithms as in depth as a university would, for example. So, like at a university, they actually have the classes data structures and algorithms where they go in depth. They explain the concepts. You're supposed to read your textbooks, your digital textbooks um, on those concepts, and then you're supposed to build them, and you shouldn't be copying and pasting them. You should be able to understand your programming logic and build them and actually um, be able to understand mentally how that code is running, how that logic is working with these data structures. And uh, that's something that university students get that most boot camps don't provide. And so here, friends write about that, but I am able to say that New Camp Coding Bootcamp recently they've added data structures and algorithms to their curriculum because that has been brought to their attention because they do have hiring partners too. So like New Camp Coding Bootcamp, they're a reputable bootcamp, they're a popular one. Because I'm sharing my screen, you can see here. I can give you even a sneak peek. The CEO is not going to complain. So if you're watching my screen still, you'll see I'm an ambassador here in my ambassadors channel. But like they have here on their channel, they have all this stuff here. Give me 1 second. Let me stop that really quick. My phone is ringing, but they have the debuginator, which is to help you debug code. It's like AI that helps you debug code, but that's like you don't have to use that. That's just optional. Um, and they have Astral, which is their AI that they use that helps you, that walks you through your learning during the classes. But you don't have to use that. You got an instructor, but you have all these different classes here and all these different channels where you have students active. So even if we went to the web development fundamentals, you're going to have it really pretty active, right? On things that people are learning. And I've asked the CEO already because I work here if it's okay to give people like a sneak peek into this stuff, and he doesn't mind that I'm showing you guys this stuff, so don't worry about it. But like you have they have geez, I'm trying to see where this shows their members. I'm not sure exactly where to find that, but they have a lot of members and they have like a really active community. But they did recently, like not too recently, maybe for over a year now, they do teach data structures and algorithms, especially in the Python DevOps classes. Like they'll go over data structures Of course the algorithms is right from the beginning, right? You got to understand what an algorithm is and what how an algorithm works, how to write your own algorithms. But the data structures itself is where especially in backend roles, like you said, this Python DevOps as a backend role, they're gonna go even more in depth on the data structures. They do on the JavaScript side on the full stack, but they go through it even more. So like that's why I tell people if you're gonna take a boot camp, especially at New Camp, you could do front end, but if you paid a little more, you would do the complete software, and then you'd get more in-depth knowledge of data structures and algorithms with that course. So yeah, that is true that maybe most boot camps don't provide data structures and algorithms, but some of them do. You just have to like take your time to do your research and just pick and see like okay, well. Um, like pick and see like okay well what is their curriculum, and maybe in advance before you go to that curriculum, talk to somebody that already has experience at some level and if you have that option and ask them, well I'm not sure what I should be learning, but at least give me like the not like you know what I mean, like it's one thing to provide you every single little thing you should learn, but it's another thing for me to give you just in a general sense, look, you should be having a knowledge of this, and this. And then you can look into boot camps with that knowledge. Like, okay, if they don't have these things in their curriculum, then I definitely don't want to go there. Like for example. But yeah, what Brendan said is legit. You're gonna have a lot of boot camps that don't show a lot of the key things that you should learn, and they're charging a lot of money, by the way, too. Some of them, and therefore they're wasting your time, especially for a back end role, because a company really needs like people really because that's the hardest part. The hardest part is the programming language. The hardest part is back end. So you're going hard of hard, right? Complex of complex of complex. I don't know how to say it, but you're gonna go more complex on back end, and you're gonna have a hell of a lot less competition for sure. So like if you go on LinkedIn, Indeed, I always use those two because I first started learning, I was looking at jobs on Indeed, I was looking at jobs on LinkedIn, and I wanted to see front end, back end, full stack. I was in love with everything, so I wanted to do full stack, but I still applied to front end and back end at the time, and I was able to see at the time, okay, even more recently, I helped somebody on LinkedIn, somebody here in our community. They asked me my opinion on LinkedIn, and I logged in on LinkedIn, shared my screen on my profile, and then we started. I showed them a little bit how to you know what I mean, because I try to help people out as much as I can wherever I can, and I try to help them, show them how to use it to like look for roles, and then you could see on even some of these roles that are out there now that when you look at these back end jobs, they're gonna be a hell of a lot lower, like you're gonna be competing with a lot less people, but your skill set is gonna be higher. That technical interview is gonna be tougher. On the front end, though, they some of these companies they add a little, like they throw something a little something extra in on it. So like they'll have you like maybe they'll give you a zip file of a website, some random website that they have. Of course, it's not something they're worried about. It's just to test you, and they tell you, fix the bugs and fix the UI on this front end on this website for front end, and they give you a time limit to do it, and then you have somewhere where you have to submit it. So like some of them do that. Some of them will do that where they give you like a almost like a mini project. We want to see your debugging and your web development skills on the front end to some extent, and then on top of that you get the technical interview. Some of them just want the technical interview, and then but there's more to the interview process than that. But I'm just saying as far as your technical knowledge goes. On the back end though, it's gonna be more extensive. Yeah, definitely. So like I would be the same way. So like I had I needed to hire somebody to help me with a contract or with a client that I picked up for a mobile app, and I ended up going with one of my old mentors. He's a senior iOS developer. I ended up just going with him to play it safe because I couldn't find somebody at a junior level that had the experience that or was well enough versed, I guess you could say, in some of these concepts, or at the or quite ready for that level, at the level that I needed them at. So I just went with somebody. I paid extra for somebody more experienced, basically. And if moving on into the future, if I were to get if I have another maybe with a different client, and I need somebody on the back end, I'm gonna really be paying attention to when I'm interviewing this person, whether um, they have those that the skill, whether they're ready, because it would suck. It sucks for anybody, right? If you're paying money for somebody's skill set just to find out that they can't do the job, and because that's a lot of money that developers get paid. Like you're spending a lot, right? Right. Even if it's for 1 month, like even if it's not for the year, like if I don't hire you for a year, even if I just hire you for the month, for example, depending on what our agreement is, it's thousands of dollars normally, and that's a lot of money to just throw out if somebody's not um, to find out that somebody can't do it. So like so you have a point, Brendan, because I had another student, like I've said in the past, I've had other students that came from boot camps and they couldn't they got so used to copying and pasting that when I took all that from them and I put them on the spot to assess them, they couldn't even write a variable. They couldn't even write a function. Like they couldn't do basic programming concepts from memory that they should be doing. They couldn't do it. Like they struggled, they couldn't do it. And then later, even after I walked them through doing it, I said, okay, let's see how much that boot camp really did teach you, because they had a full stack certificate too, some of them. And it's like, explain this to me line by line. I want to know how the code is executing, the logic. Like, explain to me what you know about it, as in depth as you want to be, right? As in depth as you can be. And they couldn't. They struggled. And that's what I think sucks about a lot of these programs out there, is they're you're paying the money, but they're not ensuring that you're actually picking up what you need to pick up to move forward. Um, they're just giving you a certificate. In other words, they're selling you a dream, right? They're taking your money in exchange for selling you a dream that's not realistic at the level of knowledge that you have. You need somebody that's going to make sure that you're getting what you need to be getting, and they're hard on you. Like, I'm not saying, like, being easy on people doesn't always benefit you. Things that are hard, right? When you're hard on somebody like me, I'm gonna be hard on you, not to be mean, but to make sure that before we move on, you understand what you're doing. Like, I'm not gonna keep giving you concepts unless you've understand what I've shown you already, and you understand it at a basic level, then to an advanced level, at a high level where you're able to explain it at a high level, and then eventually where you understand how it's working under the hood, right? Like, and not everybody does that. A lot of these boot camps, they don't have time. They're just, or even the universities, they don't have time. They're expecting you to do all your readings, and they're just moving and moving and moving, and then they see your project, and it really hurts you if you're copying and pasting code into your projects. When you're building projects, you just have a bunch of copy and pasted code in there. You're really hurting yourself. You should be writing that code especially when you're first learning. You should be writing it like syntax, every piece of syntax, without auto completion, without the AI. You should be writing that every little jot, every little tittle, every little piece of syntax. You should be writing it out, typing it out like you would type a letter. Like if you were typing an email to a friend or something, you should be writing out all that code yourself and understanding that logic, what's happening. Even if it takes you longer, you should be doing that. All that cutting and pasting, that does a lot of harm. So like that's not gonna help you at all. Just to throw that out there. Just I'm always throwing that out there because I'm trying to stress that because believe me, when I started, I was in that same boat where they're just like, yeah, look, we're just gonna show you this. This is how we explain it. Just copy and paste it. We're ready to move on. That when I had that 8 month experience with those senior software engineers, they really showed me how much that kind of stuff hurts you. And from that point forward, as soon as I started that programming, and they basically blew my lid, right? Like I went in there thinking I was the man, and they showed me really quickly how much I still had to learn. And and from that day forward, when they took all these things away from me and they made me write it out like the way I'm telling you write it out and build how I'm telling you to build, I've learned a lot more, especially with the knowledge they were giving me along the way. I've learned a lot more than anywhere else because it's hard to really learn this stuff and understand it if you're not applying it that way. Um, Cutting and pasting just don't cut it. Basically, it just doesn't work. Like maybe somebody to some degree, or maybe it gives you that illusion that it's working. But if we took all those things away and put you on a blank screen and I told you to do something, that's when I'm really, really going to see how much you really, really have ingrained in your mind, right? How much you really, and then how well you can explain it. Um, Things like that, just things to keep in mind. Like there's a really good way to learn and there's a really bad way to learn. And in my experience, that's a really bad way to learn. Does anybody have any questions? Anybody else have any other questions? No. All right. So I know I went on blabbing a lot. All right. So like for anybody that's here that was like interested in the project, I'll introduce that really quick. Um, so I think I'm still sharing my screen. I am. All right. Let me get rid of that. So the project is on Miro. What we have what the project is, the project has no has very little progress right now. But it's up to you if you're interested in getting to that. Me, I wasn't able to contribute recently because we're in the hospital, had a newborn, stuff like that, and I've been like even more busy than usual. So it's been hard with all my obligations I have to even um, and not just that. I feel like if like I've told somebody before, if I wanted to say, hey, put this event out there and say, hey, you can watch me build a project, that's different than us building one together, right? And the whole point of this project was to have a group of people come together and build it together. Like I wanted all of us to build it together. I didn't want to just have people showing up watching me code because that doesn't help nobody. Like I understand that. Maybe someone like Brendan and other people here understand that you can watch me code all day, every day, and it's not going to help you get any better until you're applying that and learning that on your own. Like it's different um, when you're actually applying the concepts that you're learning on your own in different contexts. It's a good thing. You're gonna learn a lot more that way than watching anybody just sitting there watching anybody code. Um, but all right, so we had this section on brainwriting, but the original idea for the project was it's supposed to be an AI platform or app that helps people stay conscious of the foods and drinks that they're consuming. I know that's kind of the description kind of sucks, but basically they if you're at, for example, say I have this app on my phone and I'm at the grocery store and I want to consume some food or some drink and they have a nutrition label on it and I'm like, well, I'm looking at the nutrition label. Some people they do, not all of us do. Some of us just throw food in the cart, right? But some people they're very conscious about what they consume, or some people they're curious about it. They're like, you know what, I want to learn more about what I'm consuming, and um, and they start looking at the labels and you don't know what all these things are. While this app is supposed to, you're supposed to be able to take a picture of it on your phone of the nutrition label and the AI. We're gonna parse that image. We're gonna take the image. We're gonna take the text from the image, and then we're gonna put it in a format for the AI where we can feed it to the AI, and the AI can process it and give us some kind of organized feedback on those ingredients, what they are, and whether to some degree they've been known to be harmful. So the AI can't say it's harmful or not because the AI is not a professional, you know, it's not someone that's someone professional in some type of health industry or food industry or whatnot. It's just an AI it's a natural language processing AI, like I told you, an NLP. And they give you the illusion that they're thinking and answering like a human, but they're not. They're not able to process the information and think anything like a human, like with the brain, right? They're just stringing along tokens, what are called tokens. So like every word, even you can break it down in different levels, but at a basic level, every word is a token. It just represents numbers, and the AI is just putting numbers next to numbers, next to numbers, next to numbers, and it's using an algorithm to make the best guess on which numbers, which set of numbers should follow which set of numbers, and it's doing that really fast over and over and over and over and over. And because it's doing it in a fashion that looks logical to us, like like damn, like this thing, like it gives you the illusion like it's thinking and processing information like a human, but when you've actually built one and you understand how it works, the magic's gone and you're like, okay, this thing's just making guesses and just stringing things together. That's not something that anybody can rely on, but it's doing it with the proficiency though that's pretty good, to a sense where we can say where we can even run our own testing and fact checks on some of the ingredients, right? Because there's only so many ingredients, I guess. Maybe there's new ones that come out, I don't know, but there's so many ingredients people are going to be looking up, and we can always fact check those at some point in the before we releasing it to the public. But the AI for the most part is pretty good about it, and about browsing the web and taking that information somewhere and getting the correct definition of what that thing is, and then giving it back in its own words, even if it's in its own words, not the same words as wherever it found it online, because then that would be like AI committing plagiarism too, right? But most of the time it'll cite the source too, so even the AI is programmed to cite its original sources. But anyway, it's supposed to get that information. It feeds it to the AI. The AI takes that information and gives it to the user, and it's going to tell them something about the ingredients that are inside of the food or the drink that they want to consume. Um, and then we have a flow, basic flow. This is the original app flow, just the normal flow of the original app, basically what I've described. But there's two ways to go about it. The user will have what can either upload an image or they can just send text. Like if they're look just maybe you're just curious about one ingredient. Maybe you've seen this so many times, you know what the other ingredients are, but you're just concerned about one ingredient. You just type that in, and it goes through the same process. The AI is going to take that and process it and then give it back to you in some type of organized output, right? Some way where we want it to be presented to the user. And then we have our logos. This is the main logo here. Then we have this is just something we started developing for version 2. And then we have lo-fi wireframes, which was we did them low fidelity because at a beginner level, people should at least be learning what a low fidelity wireframe is and how to make them, in my opinion, before you go into trying to make high fidelity wireframes on something like Figma or something. Um, but these you can do it on a computer or in pen and paper. Like you don't even need a computer, right? You can just, like I said, pen and paper. If you have a notebook, you can make your own low fidelity wireframe of whatever program you're trying to make uh, on your own. And like we kind of did that a little bit here. Well, at least Irina did that, which is she's on the design team. That's my girlfriend, the one I told you guys about that has the degree in graphic design and marketing, and then she also knows full stack development as well. But me and Ryan started off with these ones. So me and Ryan started off with those ones. Irina kind of touched them up a little bit, added her touch to it, and then Irina did these two down here with Tiffany, I believe. I think Tiffany helped her a little bit. At some point, Tiffany's one of the people that were helping us for a little bit, but she got really busy. She's not able to help anymore. But the tablet view, it's kind of running off the page, but that's just implying that you're going to have to scroll to see the rest of it. That it should be scrollable. It's not, there's no way we could see anything off the end of a tablet, of course. Um, but yeah, then this one's just a little bit of a more of a representation on Figma of what it might look like at a more like I was saying, like a high fidelity level. Even though this one's not all that high fidelity, it's still good enough to where when we start developing it on the front end, we're like, okay, well, this is our color scheme too, by the way. This is the color scheme we want. That's why she put the colors here because those are the colors we'll be dealing with. And then she has the color codes here as well for the with the logo. And then the way we were keeping track of people, what they were doing was on a development team, and then we had the design team, marketing team. The design team's basically done right now, unless we give them more work. They've completed all the tasks for now. On the development side, we're kind of stuck. So the reason why we're stuck is because I didn't want to just do all the work myself. I could just pick this up on some spare time and just start building this thing out by myself. And maybe I should pick up something and just start hammering away at it a little bit and get a little bit more progress going. But I didn't want it to be just me little by little building this whole thing by myself. I wanted it to be a group thing. That was the whole purpose of it. So I'm trying to get people that, doesn't have to be a lot of time, but any time that you have to contribute, you want to contribute to it. We have our tasks here. You just move the task over here whenever you want to pick it up, um, and then you put your name on it. And when you're done with it, you move it over here where the completed tasks are. So we have something just basic. And at the end of it, when you submit it, we'll have a little bit of a code review, where me or other people that are more experienced will look at your code and maybe send it back to you with some with some information, where you can make it better, or change it, or give you more information on what it's doing versus what it should be doing, things like that. Or maybe it's good to go, maybe it's good to go. Maybe I'm happy enough with it and I'm like, yeah, well, let's push it to development at least, right? Until we get to that point where we're ready to push it to production. All right, so that's the project here on Miro. But we have the GitHub repository, of course, on GitHub. So we do have a code repository, but for GitHub, where is it at? Right here. Yeah. Wait a minute. Oh, that's the wiki. Sorry about that. Here we go. And um, so yeah, basically we have its instructions on how to link to the GitHub. Basically, you want to clone it. You're gonna want to clone it so you can connect to the GitHub repository. So when you're making changes, you can push those changes to the repository, and pull whatever changes have been done as well. There has been a little bit of work done, but there's got to be some. I guess I gotta refactor a little more on the architecture. So I gotta take the architecture of it and change it, because I did get enough feedback at this point from people that have DM'd me that were new to the project, that they have hesitated to. Um, they haven't quite contributed because they don't know how to write code natively in JavaScript. So at some point I had somebody that was more experienced make a contribution, and she made it more. She started developing it natively in JavaScript, just a JavaScript application doing everything in JavaScript, and basically, everything it's just everything in JavaScript, and that's a little bit too much for beginners. So I'm gonna have to probably change it and make it back so that way it has an HTML, CSS, and JavaScript file, and not everything's done in JavaScript, right? Because it's gonna be too hard for anybody to keep moving. Because me and maybe a couple others can keep moving forward with just JavaScript, but not everybody can. And I think that's kind of the thing that slowed us down on the project a little bit. So I've gotten enough feedback on that where we're gonna have to change that. Um, the collaborators, there's a bunch of us. So if I use my mobile device, so I can authenticate my access to my own account. Give me 1 second. I'll show you more about that. Yes. What are you talking about, GitHub? All right, there we go. So we got collaborators. Like, we don't got a lack of collaborators. We got quite a few collaborators. Like, I was happy with the amount of collaborators we got, but a lot of the majority of our collaborators are beginners. Some of us are able to move forward, but I didn't want to lock out the beginners, so I'm gonna have to change up that file structure, and um, and we're gonna probably have to go back to keeping it pretty basic, because I think I've already had the opinion that I think from more than more than just a few people too that were willing to be very active, that were beginners, that it's that doing it just alone in JavaScript was just a little too much. So they don't have previous experience, they're just learning. All right, Lucky Ducky, I see you here again. Haven't seen you around in a little bit. I was waiting for you to finish typing. But until then, does anybody have any questions about the project, or are you interested in joining the project? Oh yeah,
I
what was that?
that's all right. I just want to say that I don't have the time at the moment to do the project, but I do thank you for your I do thank you for this event.
Oh,
Mm,
the event. Yeah, is that what you
Yeah,
said?
I'm saying I do have to go, but I want to say thank you so before
Oh
I didn't
yeah,
want to
for
just
sure.
leave.
No, it's all right. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for coming and being part of the community. You can check in whenever or message me whenever.
Have a good day.
Yeah, you too. All right.
Yeah, so I
So, what was that?
oh, 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 sorry, no, I just wanted to mention that I mentioned this last time, but I'd be interested in being involved in the project, at least as much as I can. But I'm wondering, so I see the GitHub page. How do I get to that Miro
Oh,
uh,
Miro.
board with it? Yeah.
I think I sent you already the link to. I believe I sent you the invite already to your Gmail or your email, whatever email you gave me last time.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, cause I have to send you the invitation from Miro to the Miro board, and then so it should have went to your email. The invitation should have went to your email. I believe you did. I'm pretty sure I remember right that you were the one that you're one of the ones that asked me for that gave me your email and GitHub username.
Yeah, I sent you the my yeah my email. I don't think I got the invitation. Maybe it went into my junk. I don't know folder. I'll check on that.
All right. No, yeah. Check it out. If not, just let me know and then I'll go and to resend it. Um, yeah. Just or you know what? Let me pull it off the screen right now and check it out really quick because I didn't want to like put your email out there. If um, give me a second. Let me check. Mm, yeah. Yeah. You gave me a Gmail. So it's whatever Gmail you have. Let me take this off screen too, and I'll go ahead and send you that right now. Let me see if I can resend it. Yeah, let me resend it. So you should be getting it here soon. Whoa. Yeah. I just about defeated the purpose there. Hopefully not just for a split second. All right. So yeah. Um. Um. I just resent the invitation there.
I just got it this time. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't get it the first time, but I have it now.
All right. Yeah, I was curious too. Yeah. Um. All right, so Lucky Ducky said if it was React, it would be nice, but I think you were talking about jQuery, also cloning project now. All right, yeah, Lucky Ducky, the jQuery. No, I didn't. We did talk about jQuery. That was because the person who contributed to that, she wrote it natively in JavaScript, and she put through in some jQuery too. So, me, I'm not a big fan of jQuery. I mean, maybe you'll end up in a context where you got to use it. Maybe you're, working on with a company that they might need you to know some jQuery or whatnot. But like me, like for like newer projects or like how we're building this one, that's what I was saying. Maybe we should change it to make it a little more beginner friendly because there are some beginners that want to contribute that already told me that they think it's a little bit too much, just all because they don't understand what's going on. They just see all that JavaScript and they haven't learned some of the concepts that they need to understand before trying to write an app natively in JavaScript. But like the jQuery part is like we can do it without jQuery. We don't need jQuery. Like jQuery was written at a time, it was developed at a time when JavaScript wasn't as capable. When the jQuery had to supplement the JavaScript, but nowadays JavaScript does everything that jQuery can do, so we don't even need jQuery anymore. But some people just still use it. Some people just like it. Me, I'm not a fan of it. I don't care for it. It's kind of like Lodash. If you're familiar with the Lodash JavaScript library, Lodash was the same. Lodash was trying to supplement what JavaScript wasn't able to do at the time. JavaScript can do it now, so you don't even need Lodash, but some people use it out of habit because they're already familiar with the syntax and everything. Um, but yeah, you said I'll skip that party. Which party? The jQuery party or the project? Uh, the jQuery party? Yeah. So like, no, but I needed. Yeah, I hear you, the jQuery. But yeah, we could change that. So like even if you want to, anybody can do it. I mean, I'm gonna get to it too as soon as I can scrape up some time. I gotta make some changes in there so that way it's just uh, not natively in JavaScript, so I could switch it back over the way I had it before. Because the way I set it up was intentional, because I wanted um, anybody at any level to be able to contribute, especially the beginners, because a lot of people that are contributing, like the majority of people I get are beginners, and so like I didn't want to lock out the beginners and like make them feel like they can't contribute or unable to contribute and learn along the way, right? Um, so that was the whole point with that. Is I'm hoping to fix that so that way we can move forward. Um, but it was I designed the file structure. I used a file structure and the way I had it set up intentionally because I wanted it to be beginner friendly. But the work that that contributor made is, I'm not saying they didn't, like they made a good job. So we could still, um, like for those of us that are more experienced, we could still look at her code and you know, take it and make some changes as we want. You know what I mean? Um, maybe there's still some gems there we could take from it, and then you know, go from there. But um, yeah, just wanted to throw that out there. All right, so we got so I, you know what I mean, because I hate to make it sound like maybe somebody's contribution was made in vain. That's what I didn't like, but we're always going to have that where maybe people are making contributions and maybe there's got to be some changes, right? Or maybe they went a direction that wasn't quite desired. Like for me, if it was like if I was doing this build with more experienced people, it wouldn't bug me. I'd be like, all right, fine, let's do it. And more than likely, we would have picked a mobile. We would have picked something like React Native or Flutter, right? Because that's what I would want to select, one of the two, React Native, more than likely React Native or Flutter, just because I have more familiar with React Native. But I heard Flutter's a good one too. There probably are other mobile, cross-platform mobile options, but yeah, we would have went with with something like that versus what we did choose. So what we chose is just straight up beginner friendly, or it was supposed to be that way, intended to be that way. Tori is what I would like to try. Tori. So yeah, I don't think I've heard of Tori yet. I'll have to check that. I'll have to check that out. You got a link? You want to pass a link? I could Google it, of course, but you know, I'm just being lazy trying to get you to give me a link. uh, all right, thank you. All right. Anybody else? Any questions? So yeah, just like FYI to yeah, let's do that. To the beginners out there, if if you're I guess trying to build, like there's a difference on the type of you know, if you're building a website, a web app, or a mobile app. Um, if you're gonna build like a mobile app, like, cause like our original intention for this idea was to build a mobile app, so we should have went with you know, a mobile app, like a mobile app cross-platform framework, perhaps something like what we've been mentioning, but we didn't, and it was because of the beginners, right? And because I wanted them to be able to learn, and then because we could just make it fully responsive anyway, and most people are gonna use it on their phone anyway. No, I don't think anybody's gonna use it on their desktop, but it'll look pretty on desktop just in case somebody did open it up on desktop. But when you're doing a mobile app, right, you're gonna want to use the right tools or technologies, and then you're gonna want to then you're gonna want to get that experience of getting it approved, you know, on an app store like Google Play, for example. If you want to do iOS development, then you're gonna need a Mac. But if you want to do, but if you know, if we're gonna just do Android development, you can do it easily on Windows, no problem. You could do, from what I've heard, you could do iOS development to some extent on a Windows PC, but it's a lot harder and it's a lot more tedious. Um, but that's going to go into other complications that we don't need to be talking about right now. So we got build an optimized, secure, and front-end independent application for multi-platform development. Bash. All right, so let's see. Don't have to change your stack, huh? So on this one, you can build on mobile and desktop apps, huh? Build with Rust and CLI leverage Node.js making storage. Yeah, it looks like a desktop application development software. But it does look like maybe you could use it for mobile, maybe. There are other options too. I think one of them was from Ionic, but it's like premium. You got to pay for that one. That one looks interesting. Um, I think she changed companies. All right. So, yeah, that one looks like a pretty cool one. Another one I think was from Ionic. Let me look that one up real quick. I believe it was Ionic, like where you can do cross-platform mobile app development. But I believe they are very pricey because you can use basically any framework you want. I believe you can even use HTML and CSS and JavaScript with this if you wanted to, and then you can turn it into a mobile app for the app stores. But it's very pricey, I believe. Somewhere it'll have it. Um, but Ionic's another one. There's Ionic. There's a bunch of them out there, but there are other options. If I have a friend that's a Flutter developer, and he said, because I thought React Native is pretty, React Native's, I don't know. I'll just say it's special. But like he said, Flutter was a headache too. So all right. So anybody else got any other questions? Yeah, Tori looks cool. I think Lucky Ducky. It does say right there on any platform. I see you typing. But it sounds like they started as a desktop app builder and maybe that's their primary focus. Um, no, you shouldn't have to make a new branch. You should be able to clone it and then I just wanted everything on on the development branch. There is a features branch and other branches, I believe. If you look, there's like four branches right now. But of course, the I think I blocked the production branch or the main branch. So like just do the you can do it on the development branch, and then it alerts me. It alerts me when there's a push there, and then I'll be able to review it. All right, we got like 5 minutes left. That's all I got. All right, anybody else? Anybody else got anything for 5 minutes? No. All right. So then I'll just say thank you guys for showing up. Thank you for your time. Thank you. If you guys have any questions, you can always reach out anytime. Like you guys are already on the platform. I'm not. You know what I mean? I'm not. I'll answer you if you do DM me on here on Discord. I'll answer as soon as I can. So like I try to um, communicate or interact with as many people as I can. Uh, but if anybody has any questions or need help with anything, or maybe you're working on something and you want somebody's opinion, you can post it in one of the channels, or you can just reach out to me if you want, and then I'll see if I can help you out. Uh, all right, so that's all I got then too. I know we're 5 minutes early, but there's not much we can do in 5 minutes, and I do got a hard stop at noon. I have other I have other things I gotta get going on. But thank you guys for being part of the community, and I hope you guys have a blessed Sunday. Yeah, you're welcome. Lucky ducky. Yeah, thank you too. Yeah, you're welcome, Hazer. Thank you too.